Hey man, welcome to the special edition episode of the Avert podcast. I'm your host, Michael Gibson Jr. This episode, we're talking with David Gibson, no relation to me, but he's the program and operations manager for the Asian Film Festival of Dallas, which is currently going on right now through July 26th at the Angelika Film Center in Dallas. They've got a plethora of interesting films. I've been the past couple days, seen a bunch of them. We do talk about one in particular that's very interesting, that's going to be playing again later on in the week, that if you get a chance to, you should see it, because some of the stuff they do in the film is, again, without giving spoilers, all I can say is it's very interesting. But we do touch on a couple of the films, and I also want to let you know, if you were at the opening night party, it was amazing, had an amazing time. They had fire dancers. I have no idea what the closing night party is going to entail, but that was incredible to see those guys working in it. The opening night party was at the Belmont Hotel in Dallas, overlooking a absolutely gorgeous view of downtown Dallas. If you weren't there, you missed out on one amazing party. But again, without further ado, here's episode 30 of the Avert podcast. Consider yourself warned.
David Gibson. I'm the lead programmer and director of operations for the Asian Film Festival of Dallas.
Well, thank you for joining me, David.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Can you go ahead and start by talking about the history of the festival itself?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I've been with the festival for 14 years now. It's been so long I can't even remember. But it started in 2002 with two avid film fans, Mai Hong and Steve Carlton. And Steve was from England. And basically how it happened was Maya was working at one of the theaters, local theaters, and she loved Asian films. So she would ask the theater if she could show films like periodically over the weekend, and everybody would just gravitate toward that. Well, at the same time, Steve Carlton was doing the same thing. He was just actually paying out of his pocket to get the rights to films to show them in the Dallas area. And somebody told them, hey, why don't you guys get together and have, create a film festival, because we love this stuff. And so the first film festival for Asian films was in 2002 at the Dallas Museum of Art. And so they got together, created the festival, and it's been running ever since. And so I attended the third year for the first time, or second year. I can't even remember, man. And for the first time, and I just fell in love with it, and I volunteered that year after, and been a part of it ever since.
What was it that drew you to becoming a part of it?
So, when I went, I saw Ninja Scroll on the big screen, and that's just my all-time favorite anime. And so I started out as a kid loving anime, and so until I started coming to the festival, I really wasn't that live action type of guy. Yeah. But I loved Asian films. I love subtitles. I just love listen to the original language in the countries of the films. And then it's just, they give a passion towards their films that you don't really see. And so, what drove me to AFFD was they were showing just like everything that I had loved as a kid, or had wanted to see, or didn't even know I wanted to see. And so when I went to the first festival, I was just like, okay, this is it. And then the second year, I was just like, oh my goodness, what is this stuff? What is all of these films, and what countries, and how have I not seen this before in my life? And ever since then, I've just been like a fan of Asian films.
You said anime is your favorite genre, and Ninja Scroll is your favorite. Mm-hmm. I love all sorts of Asian films. I think a lot of people, when it comes to cinema, they tend to have a huge attraction towards the Asian cinema itself, especially a lot of like the kung fu and stuff. I remember watching Bruce Lee as a kid.
Time ago, Sunday mornings. Yes, that was me.
Yeah, and then high school Dragon Ball Z, and I'm still an avid fan of that.
Yes.
And I think probably my favorite anime aside from Dragon Ball would be Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes.
And I got my girlfriend to watch it, and she was like,
Oh,
cartoons,
boy.
like you're an adult, like you're watching cartoons, and like she's crying. And I was like, see,
I told you, yeah.
exactly, we got you.
And speaking of, I have a similar story to that. Is my cousin? He did the same thing to me. He was like, "Man, why are you always going to these anime shops and what is up with these comic books? And you play D&D?" And I'm like, "No, man, I just like the anime." And I was like, "Watch one with me." And I sat him down and I had him watch Vampire D Bloodlust.
Oh wow!
And he was just like, "Oh my goodness, what is this?" He loved it. And so he didn't, jump into, watching anime after that, but he has a respect for it now.
Right.
And so it's just like, I tell everybody, just watch one. And then I'll give them a selection. I'm like, watch this. And then they watch and they're like, "Man, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen." And it's because they're, over there, I commend them for, having their own, like, type of, Hollywood, so to speak, production of all of their films and their culture. And they're behind the U.S. are leading the industry and making films. And so,
yeah.
And it's just, it's good. It's really good. And the stories are really different because you're talking about two different cultures. I mean, not to go on, but when you watch a film from Hollywood, you kind of know what's going to happen because we live it, we know it, it's our culture.
Right.
But when you talk about films from like Thailand, or films from South Korea, Hong Kong, you have no idea what direction they're going to take these films because that's not our culture. We don't live there. And so it's just the excitement of what are they about to do next.
Right.
Yeah.
How many films are there in the festival this year?
Oh, that's a good question. So this year I know there are 31 features.
Okay.
And then there are 66 total, including the shorts. So, but then that's not including the student shorts. And so, I would say, if I had to guess, it's over 75 films. And so, and we count shorts as films because these are truly up-and-coming filmmakers that are, putting their projects on a small, stage, but eventually they may make a full feature. And so our film festival is very interesting in the fact that we've had instances to where we have shown a film from a short filmmaker, and then that filmmaker has gone on to make features, and we've shown their features. And I like to tell the story of there's a Korean filmmaker. He made a short, and then he made a feature after that, and he submitted his feature to Dallas International Film Festival, plug, and he literally thought he had won and was actually accepted into our festival.
Oh wow!
But he was in diff, and when he came over from Korea, we picked him up I picked him up from the airport. He was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah man, congratulations, you got into diff." He's like, "What's diff?" I thought I was going to your festival. I was like, "No, man, you're on the big stage now." Yeah. And, stuff like that, man, I just, I feel good for those type of they come out small and then they end up big. And then another interesting story is Justin Lin, he actually submitted a film to our festival. We played. And so, we played, Better Luck Tomorrow for him. And then we also played Finishing the Game. And this was before he went into the whole Fast and the Furious, making billions of dollars on, some of his directing projects. But, some of the filmmakers we deal with, man, they start out small and they make it big. So kind of like to say, Asian Film Festival had a small part in that. Super small.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like you talk about these filmmakers making these shorts and then growing up, not growing up, but going on to making features and being on a bigger stage. Where do you see the technology going? Because I was just at and I have to see the name of it again last night, Gonjiam, the Haunted Asylum last night. And it was so interesting seeing the use of 360 in a film. I was like, I would love to see how that would work on like VR goggles or stuff.
That's interesting, and I wasn't even thinking about that, but I do think that is going to be the next, kind of like level of film. I mean, the realm of having a virtual reality goggle in a theater, and then couple that with kind of like the motion sensor seats. And then add that to like wind or kind of like water and stuff, sort of like the Universal Studios experience, man. I think that's where we're going to go, because you want to do not just a 2D or 3D or 4D. You want to just the full immersible experience of film. And once you get to that point, let's just say you were watching Gongjam and somebody touched you on your shoulder when the scary scene comes up, right? Man, that would freak you out. And then you have VRs on because you can't really see who it is. Man, one of my favorite movies now is Ready Player One. And when he has the jumpsuit on with the VR, dude, if we ever get there, I will be the first one that you will never see again. Because I will be in my house with my jumpsuit on in virtual reality. So, I mean, if it goes there, we will actually be ready for it and willing to, kind of like take it on. But right now, what we're really actually dealing with, the new technology, is the DCP. Everybody's doing servers and, films are being transferred through the internet now, as opposed to having those old big 35 millimeters or the HD cams and digibetas of the world. No longer will we have to rent that equipment as a film festival and pay that extra money. Literally, films are coming to us now in links and email, and with encryption keys, and it's easier, it's better, it's cheaper, but I think where it may go, VR, they pipe the film into that VR, and there will be no more print, so to speak, that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and that's also a very interesting point, because, even on the filmmaking side, everything's gone to where people have their cameras, in their pocket.
Oh, yeah. And
the quality of that is so amazing.
And it's funny, I take pictures with my camera, I do video with my my phone and all of that, and, once you post it, you're just like, man, that's a nice, picture.
Right.
And so everything's going 4K from 1080p, which was the old norm of excellent resolution. And so I think you're right with, the higher resolution, that's just going to increase the greater visibility and ability for people to actually film anything. And then, of course, filmmakers are going to start incorporating that. They're doing it now, but they're going to start incorporating that into their filmmaking in the future. And so, but Haunted Asylum is a perfect example. It gives you that pseudo-real type of, documentary feel, and then it added a small element of
suspense horror,
and then, where the people like reality show.
Okay.
Reality shows.
Reality. Exactly.
Dude, they throw everything but the kitchen sink in this film. And so once you have all of those different elements, as what we as, like moviegoers and, entertainment seekers are looking for, they'll start incorporating that, because reality shows are the thing. And once they start putting all of the different things that social media is driving, the Snapchats of the world are driving, Instagrams and all of this stuff, they start incorporating that into the films. They will get the younger generation that may not be, avid film goers right now of the stuff we like, but they're going to make it for them. And so it's an ever-evolving industry, man. We just sit and be along for the ride.
Through the years, what's been the most memorable experience for you working with the festival?
Oh, so since I'm the director of operations, all of my memories are bad. So when stuff breaks, those are the most memorable. But I'll try to do both. Like, obviously the bad, the most memorable is, I guess something going wrong is two of the most memorable moments. The worst was we had a centerpiece film that did not play. And it was awful, man. I think, I don't know if you were there and remember it, but it was one of the Hong Kong crime drama films The DCP just wouldn't play. We didn't have the backup, and, we were trying to make it work for like 30 minutes. So I had to stand out in front of everybody and kind of be entertainment for 30 minutes until we finally said, okay, it's not going to play. But the distributor, they made up for it. They sent us a backup copy, and we ended up playing it the last day of the festival. And so everybody got to see it. But that was real memorable because that was the first time we had ever not had a film play.
Oh, wow.
We have a great track record of actually having films and having them play. But in that same vein, the most enjoyable, memorable moment was we had a movie called Itchy. Not Itchy the Killer. It was just the Itchy. It was a female blind samurai swordswoman. Okay. And the DCP, well, actually, it was the HD cam. The film and the actual sound coding was off. And so what they had to do is they had to crank the film up one notch in speed, and the sound would play. But if they played it in normal speed, there would be no sound. Oh, wow. And so I went out into the audience and I was like, okay, guys, you can watch it like Alvin the Chipmunks, or you can not watch it at all. Everybody was a unanimous decision. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Alvin and the Chipmunks. And so we played it in like one time speed to have sound. And it was hilarious, man. It was literally the best movie we'd ever played because it was like people were running around real fast and then they were talking fast and sounding like the Chipmunks. That was a great moment for the film festival and everybody loved it. If you ask somebody now that's been around, you're like, yeah, I remember that. That was the best. So yeah, it's usually when stuff goes wrong and where I have to step in and it sticks with me.
Awesome.
Yeah, fun stuff.
I guess aside from that, like, what are some of the other, from an operation standpoint, what are some of the pitfalls that you see with putting together a film festival?
Obviously, it's when I don't get the film I want. Yeah, so operations and programming, they go hand in hand. And so when I'm doing programming, there are a lot of situations to where, not only do I seek films that are real popular, real in demand, but films are submitted to me that are like excellent. And so this year I lost a film, not going to say what it is, but I lost one of the films that was just a gorgeous Japanese film. The shots were amazing. The plot and the story was just like phenomenal. But it's good because that independent filmmaker, even though they submitted their film to me, in the course of me judging it and figuring out if it's going to be a selection for a festival, he got his distribution for the film over in Japan. And so I'm happy for him, but I'm sad because I can't play the film. So it's usually when I am either getting confirmation that I'm going to get a film or somebody's, giving me a verbal, yes, we're going to be in your festival, and then they have to back out due to unforeseen circumstances. And so that always disappoints me because I want to show you guys the best that I can find this year. And then a lot of times when the distribution happens like that, it goes into a void to where we never see the film ever again, depending on the distributor.
About how many submissions do y'all receive in the course of a year?
I would say 300 is kind of like the standard. It's never under 300, but it could be 4 or 5, depending. But that's including the actual shorts and the actual features. And so, it's usually from November till about April 15th. I'm watching in some form of fashion, 3 to 8 films a day to try to get through them. And, I have a day job. This is nonprofit organization. All of the members and volunteers, we don't get paid. We're volunteers. We do it because we love film. And so, it's whenever I have time, I'm watching, Asian films, and we get a lot.
Well, if somebody was to want to become a volunteer for the festival, how would they go about doing that?
Our website, asianfilmdallas.com, there is a selection for members and sponsors and, all of that. But there's a way you can volunteer by just sending us an email and asking to be added to the newsletter. And whenever we send out the request for volunteers, just respond back and say, yes, I want to be one. And then Tommy Schubert handles our volunteer membership type of setup, and he'll put you on the list, and you guys can be volunteers. And so we need as many volunteers as we can get because we're growing and we have a lot going on and there's only so many of us.
Yeah, and y'all are one of the largest, just solely, strictly volunteer festivals that I've come across.
Yes, largest nonprofit. And I mean, that's a feat in itself for 17 years of all just volunteer service, everybody doing it because they love to. And, I mean, that just, goes to show, man, if you love something, you're going to do it and you're going to do it to the best of your ability. And so find something you love.
Absolutely. That's what I try to stress out there.
Yes.
With everybody that I meet. What are some of the genre of films? And maybe if you want to touch on some of the films that'll be playing.
Okay, yes. This year, it'd be good if I talked about the films, right?
Yeah.
But no, you saw one of them. I was so excited to get Gongjum Haunted Asylum. We will play that again over the course of the week, during the week. But that film, is very hard to find a horror film that hasn't already been swooped up by one of the big, distributors. And this one was, but it's Wellgo, USA Entertainment, which Wellgo is our presenting sponsor. And so having the largest Asian distributor in the U.S. as our presenting sponsor has its privileges.
And they've been a sponsor for a couple of years.
Oh, it's been over 5 years now. Yeah. And so, I mean, we have a great relationship. They have their team of people that are going out to get films from overseas for distribution here. And then we kind of like tag on to that by saying, hey, since you have it, can we show it? And it's a in-kind sponsorship for the films. And then they also sponsor us with cash, which we need. But, no, that one, when they acquired it, I was just like, yes, because it's just so well done and you just don't find, horror films like that. And in the past, I will say we've been lacking horror just because of the simple fact that it's hard, to get that. Well. Yeah, once you see The Ring and all of that stuff, man, you can't duplicate that. Right. And then so this one, kind of held its own. With, a hints of those past films. Another one that I'm really excited about, which plays today, is 3 Feet Ball and Soul. This film won, I believe, in one of the Canadian film festivals. I can't remember which one, sorry. But it won an award, and when I saw it, I was just like, yes, that's a very well done film. I try not to tell people a lot about the films because I want them to come see it and I don't want to ruin it for them. But that one is one that I really enjoy. But also I've been talking about a lot is Angels Wear White. And that one shows here today as well. It's a part of our women's showcase. It is so good. It's a story about 2 teen girls that basically are in a bad situation with a predominant person in their area, in their town, and this person has influence with the police and with, other parents in the area, and so he uses that to do bad things. And so it's a girl's fight to, for the injustice of a corrupt town that's all against her, and how does she survive that? And so, not to say any more about it, but it's so well done, and it's a female director. And so, the other one is obviously By Bust, the closing night film. It is just, last year, our closing night film was The Villainess, and it was super violent. This year, By Bust, just as violent. And that's one of the things about our festival and, being volunteers and us owning our festival. We own the content we play. We own whatever we're going to do as a board. We don't have to look to anybody. So we can play whatever we want. And so there's really no limit to the violence and, just debauchery we'll put on screen because it's good and it's coming from over there in our audience. And that's what they're looking for. And then that's what Asian films are kind of known for. Right. Doing the unexpected and the unthinkable that Hollywood would never put on screen. By Bust is one of those films.
I'm looking forward to that one too. and the Women's Block too. Mm-hmm. How do you define success in terms of the festival?
Oh, that's a good question. And so, for us, I mean, success, for some festivals, success would be they got tons of people coming to their festival. They got, screens across all of the DFW Metroplex. They're showing, an enormous amount of films. Or some success would be, they have like a small film theater house and, whatever small theater, art house theater here in Dallas, and, just showing a great quality film. We kind of, we're tier in the middle of both of those. We want to really show great quality films from Asia so that we can present the Asian culture to DFW. But we also want as many people as possible to see these films. And so I think that, that middle ground for us is we want to just make sure our fans see the best films they can possibly see from Asia for the past 2 years. We don't play anything excluding the repertory films. We don't play anything that's over 2 years old, so that we have the most current and up-to-date films that are coming out of Asia. And it just has to be good because our fans expect the best. And so I think we're just, a successful year is every film that's on screen, regardless of what you like, somebody will think it's the best thing that they've ever seen.
David, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Hope that we do it again next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Appreciate that.
All right. That's the podcast. Thank you again to David Gibson for sharing his insight with us into the Asian Film Festival of Dallas. Again, if you want to find out more information about the Asian Film Festival of Dallas, visit AsianFilmDallas.com. That's it for this edition of the Avert Your Eyes podcast. I'm Michael Gibson, and until next time, consider yourself warned.